year. The key question with Larry Bird, they were in a hard cap in the NBA. And when you look at this and bringing it back home, Adam Silver, Asia Wilson, Angel Reese, Breanna Stewart, who are the superstars of the WNBA, but especially for Caitlin because she has such brand marketing deals, probably averaging $30 to $50 million a year. The Bird rights gives a team an opportunity to re-sign its best player and not be restricted by the cap.
Larry Bird, the three-time NBA champion and Hall of Famer, never speaks unless he really wants to. The man who once calmed crowds with his steely look and who transformed chatter and garbage into art. Bird, a living legend who seldom ever speaks or reveals his face in public, has all but vanished in a time of non-stop criticism, but in a single, stunning instant, everything changed, because 2 minutes ago, during a live broadcast, Larry Bird went up to Caitlin Clark, grabbed the microphone, and made an incredible statement. The sports world. Caitlin Clark's response: "Before we continue, would you kindly consider like this video? And, if you like the material, subscribe to the channel." You might be surprised to hear that nearly 83% of viewers have not yet subscribed. It means the world to us, even though it's free and only takes a second. Have you already subscribed? Wonderful. Thank you very much for your assistance. I'm going back to the video now.
And put an understanding out, because with Caitlin and what the players and the collective bargaining agreement are negotiating, folks, I'm wondering if it's the best fit for the top players of the WNBA. CBA agreements, the collective bargaining agreement is coming up. They're going to have an intense meeting for All-Star Weekend. And I wanted to bring this up for Caitlin Clark and the Larry Bird rights rule. Okay? And we'll start from a revenue perspective as Caitlin leads the league in revenue. Where am I going with this? It wouldn't make sense to have a contract for Caitlin Clark.
Let's travel back in time. The interview was supposed to be a typical one. With 28 points, you have to see it to believe it. With 10 assists and a dagger three-pointer that sent the home crowd into a frenzy, Clark had just led the Indiana Fever to a difficult comeback victory. When the post-game interviewer applauded them, everything seemed normal. Her leadership and asked how she got along with her teammates. However, the crowd started to roar louder than it had during the entire evening. The renowned Indiana player whose name is ingrained in basketball history, Larry Bird, emerged from the tunnel and headed straight for the broadcast table while keeping his eyes on Caitlin Clark. At first, she didn't notice. She was friendly, smiling, and answering questions as usual. Everyone in the crowd stood up when the interviewer interrupted him in the middle of his statement. Caitlin turned to face him. She froze, not in fear, but in amazement, as Larry Bird, a guy who rarely appears in public, walked toward her. Directly. Everyone felt the atmosphere change. The subsequent events were unplanned and unpracticed. It was real and unadulterated. Larry came up and delicately took the microphone out of Clark's hand. "I've been watching for a while." His next remarks will be debated for years to come. In a calm, deep voice, he continued, "And this is unlike anything I've ever seen. She is authentic. I haven't seen a tougher player since the 1980s, and I won't keep quiet while others try to discredit her." After a brief period of total quiet, the audience gasped. Bird wasn't just complimenting her performance. He was entering the flames, not for himself, but as a warning, a defense, and a declaration. However, Caitlin Clark, the rookie who has regularly attended games in spite of being mocked and hacked. Clark hid her face in response to being questioned and written off. Her lips quivered as she shook her head. Then, for the first time on live television, Caitlin Clark started crying. It wasn't because she was weak or overpowered, but rather because someone who was aware of the burden of Bird wasn't done. "She doesn't require protection," he remarked, referring to perfection and the person who had defined Indiana basketball. "However, you're not watching the game if you can't give her the respect she deserves. With that, you're seeing your own anxieties." Boom. It's vintage, with no corporate spin or sanitized language editing. Larry Bird is direct and spontaneous. He handed the microphone back to Clark, who wiped her eyes. The interviewer simply stepped aside, stunned, and in that moment, the old and the new blended together in a way that felt larger than. Because this is the fact, no rookie in WNBA history has played basketball without a script, a logo, or a marketing pitch. Under just as much strain as Caitlin Clark. As soon as she stepped upon the court, her words were repeated and every infraction she committed was ignored. She made headlines with every foul, As she was drawn through the turmoil of the league's history, she grew to symbolize the league's future, but she never broke. Unlike many in the media, Larry Bird saw that and appreciated it. Bird knows what it's like to be hated for being unique. He uses jumpers to calm crowds and go into hostile environments. Your confidence was misconstrued. Every word you utter was warped. As conceit, Caitlin was much than simply a star to him. She was a basketball soul who plays to win, speaks her thoughts, and refuses to play the game right to please others. Struck him as a kindred spirit. Bird's public support was more than sentimental, it was calculated because this was a power move rather than merely an expression of gratitude. Being sincere has made Clark stand out at a time when many athletes are monitored, cleaned, and controlled. Stand out. Her sincerity has made her a target. Some have called her overrated. She's stealing the show. I was informed that people get accused of being too loud, too affluent, or too white, depending on who is speaking. Or too conceited, but Bird doesn't care about all of it. Hoopers are important to him, and Caitlin Clark is one. Bird's message was clear: you don't grasp it if you don't see it. She is among us and a part of it. After the show, social media went bananas. Larry and Caitlin became well known in a matter of minutes. NBA players from the past stepped up. Legends tweeted their support. Birds don't speak for influence. One message, "She is the truth if that is what he claimed," was read. Another, "The WNBA is developing at this moment." Because you had to stop chatting and pay attention when Larry speaks, even people who had before attacked Clark paused. Legend chats. The league responded very immediately. The WNBA posted all of the event's footage on all channels. It was edited and trimmed in a matter of hours. By morning, it had acquired over 20 million views, and sponsors contacted them. Nike unveiled an exclusive Legend X Rookie crossover advertisement. The Fever's next 5 home games were all sold out. A limited edition jersey featuring Clark's number and Bird's signature sold out online in only 4 minutes. More importantly, though, the tone changed. Pundits stopped sniping, and analysts stopped nitpicking. Even Clark's harshest critics gave in because Bird had made it unpopular to hate her. Caitlin wasn't necessary. Larry Bird clapped back for her, and the weight of decades was in his words because this was more than just a sound bite. It was a declaration, an epiphany, and a shift of course. Bird articulated what millions of. When he got up, people thought, let the child play. Let her mature and quit behaving as if being lovely is a crime. Clark looked lighter and more at ease for the rest of the game. She grinned once more. She scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. Reporters asked her about Bird's surprise in the locker as she played passionately and excitedly by herself. I didn't expect it, she said, her voice quivering. But if Larry Bird believes I deserve, then I'm done doubting myself. That sentence is worthy of a tattoo. Caitlin Clark is breaking records and barriers. She is not asking for special treatment. She is asking for equity. Finally, she got the respect she was due from someone with the power to halt the world and draw attention. Although Larry Bird wasn't the only one shielding a young athlete, it will be remembered as one of the most effective cross-generational handoffs in sports history. In addition to Caitlin Clark utilizing both hands, it was Larry Bird defending the future of the game. To continue it. With that, a tale that basketball fans will be discussing for years to come comes to a close. Consider what we've seen here today. It's not just a post-game interview, a viral moment, or a headline that momentarily attracted notice on the internet before disappearing. What transpired was something far more than that. These kinds of moments are rare. In the modern world, we're constantly viewpoints. Every player is evaluated before they have an opportunity to show themselves. Every game is examined. Every error is amplified. Themselves. The loudest voices aren't always the most intelligent ones, and social media moves at breakneck pace. However, occasionally someone comes forward whose comments have genuine significance. Someone whose achievements have endured the test of time. Someone who has already earned attention and doesn't require it. Respect from countless admirers. That individual is Larry Bird, which is why this event struck a different chord. Like many others, Larry Bird had the option to remain mute, observe from a distance, and decide not to get engaged. He has nothing more to prove, after all. His legacy is assured. His position in basketball history is untouchable, but when he witnessed the pressure, criticism, and expectations being placed on him, he chose to talk about Caitlin Clark. People pay attention to Larry Bird when he speaks, and it's not because he's loud. Not because he is contentious, but rather because he is genuine and each word has decades of meaning, of experience. Because he is aware of what excellence looks like, and because he understands how it's challenging to perform in front of the entire globe, which is what made this moment so memorable. It was a competitor acknowledging another, not just an NBA great praising a rising talent. One generation recognizing the next. One basketball legend considering the game's future and stating, "Yes, she does belong." That type of affirmation means more to Caitlin Clark than any number could. Let's be honest for a second. Since the moment she started working professionally, the trip hasn't been simple. Basketball, the attention followed her everywhere. Every arena filled up, and every game made headlines across the country. Every action she took sparked debate, with some praising her, some criticizing her, and yet others admiring her self-assurance. Others questioned it. People always had something to say about her actions, yet she continued to turn up despite everything. She continued to compete, to fight, to improve, and to believe. That's what champions do. Excellent players don't wait for ideal circumstances, for everyone's approval, or until everyone encourages them to keep going even when it seems like all the odds are against them. And that's precisely what Caitlin, as Clark, has done. Every obstacle has been transformed into inspiration, every criticism into fuel, and every failure into a new chance. Fans relate to her tale since it's about perseverance rather than just basketball. It's about perseverance and not giving up when things get tough, and those teachings go well beyond